Verizon, Comcast, DirecTV, Dish Network, Al Jazeera America, or the American version of Al Jazeera, is now on all of those systems. Joining us now to talk about that and to explain why he is calling for them to drop Al Jazeera is New York State Assemblyman Kieran Michael Lalor, former teacher and Marine, veteran of Iraq, veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he is the founder of Afghanistan and Iraq Veterans for Congress. Hello, sir. How are you?
Great to be here, Steve. How are you?
Good. It's great to talk to you again.
Likewise, likewise.
All right. So you're obviously very passionate about this. A lot of people are, but having served your country so valiantly and proudly the way you did, I understand why this is really eating at you.
It really is. It's pretty unbelievable. I was clicking through I have Verizon Fios, and I was clicking through, the news channels, MSNBC, C-SPAN, Fox, and all of a sudden I came right in the middle of that onto Al Jazeera over the weekend. And then I went to my Assembly email account, and I had been getting emails from people last week saying, "Holy cow, what's going on with our cable provider? Why is Al Jazeera a media company that is anti-American, anti-Semitic, owned by a foreign power, the nation of Qatar, which is dictatorship, and not a real ally? Why is that being broadcast into my home? I have the basic cable package. I didn't ask for this. Why am I being forced to pay for it?"
And what answers have you found?
Well, the average American in my district is pretty up in arms about it. We've sent letters to the executives at these companies. We have not heard back. We've gotten some confirmation from underlings that they received the letter and they're taking it under consideration, which is a nice way of saying, I hope this guy goes away and leaves us alone, which I'm not going to do. And what we said basically is this. If you want to have Al Jazeera as an option, that is one thing. But don't have it on the basic packages where when you pay your cable bill, whether you like it or not, you're paying for Al Jazeera, even though you find it offensive. I mean, let's remember who Al Jazeera is. If you remember that despicable and pernicious rumor after the 9/11 attacks 12 years ago that Jewish Americans didn't go to work that day because somehow every Jewish American was in on the conspiracy to take down the towers. They reported that on Al Jazeera as if it was a news story. They've given favorable coverage of terrorists for their entire 10 or 12 year existence. And I don't want that in my home, and I certainly don't want to pay for it. And if we've had 100 or 200 phone calls, it's running 198 to 2 in favor of saying, do not force me to buy Al Jazeera.
Absolutely. Now, we have Al Gore to thank for this. Let's not forget. He sold current TV to Al Jazeera, correct?
I mean, if ever there was a hypocrite, Al Gore telling everybody to use less oil, and then he sells his station to the nation that is probably most awash in petrodollars, the nation of Qatar. It's pretty unbelievable.
It is pretty unbelievable. And again, the Qatar that owns and runs Al Jazeera. Do you think that? I mean, politically speaking, do you think that they use connections to get themselves on these networks? Why would these systems offend or risk offending, the average American, let's say? When, again, there are many channels. There are Israeli channels, there are Italian channels, there are other foreign channels that you can opt to pay for, like special sports channels and any kind of specialty channel. Even the Dog Network, I think they just put on somewhere. You got to pay for that separately. So how is it that Al Jazeera gets on and everybody who has those systems is, in effect, chipping in and paying for it?
It's an excellent point because I did not have current TV on my basic Verizon package in my house. So they replaced current TV, but obviously Al Jazeera is getting more access because they are a basic cable channel and put right in there in the the primetime spot on the dial with all the big news channels. I don't believe, and we're doing research on this, but my hunch is this is not a profit-making venture. Most cable networks have 12 minutes of commercials per hour. Al Jazeera America has only 6 minutes per hour of commercials. But most of that 6 minutes they're not selling cars, they're not selling detergent. They're commercials for Al Jazeera network itself. So it doesn't look like they're trying to turn a profit here. I think they want the nation of gutter and the interests of that nation. They want their propaganda piped into our living rooms every day, and that is their interest, not the typical present motive of a media company, which is something to be really worried about.
Right. No, Assemblyman, how far are you willing to take this, and what do you see as your next step? I mean, would there be a way to pass legislation to try to, I don't want to say outlaw, but to try to make the companies provide this as an option and not part of the cable package, or what's your next plan or your next step?
What we've said in the letters is we'll give you till September 11th, about 2.5 weeks from now, to do the right thing and make this channel optional, or we're going to lead a boycott. We're going to start encouraging people to drop those providers. And also, cable companies enjoy a monopoly within municipalities. In most cases, they're the only cable option that you have. And we're going to start talking to towns and saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't give this monopoly to a company that is allowing Al Jazeera forcing Al Jazeera down people's throats. And one very important thing I want to make clear is this was not a First Amendment issue. I defended the Constitution all over the world, and the Bill of Rights, and the Free Press Clause, and the Free Speech Clause. This does not implicate the First Amendment. There is no First Amendment right for a foreign power to have a propaganda channel in the United States that is mandatory. So this is, and we're not even calling for the elimination of it. We're just saying it shouldn't be required to have on the basic package.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I couldn't agree with you more that it's not a free speech issue. No, you're not quarreling with their right to exist and their right to broadcast, but forcing people who are tied to a monopoly. And it's funny you mentioned that because someone in the newsroom earlier who lives in Brooklyn said they don't get, I forget what channel we were talking about, I don't get that on my system. And then she went on to talk about how you have no choices really of a system. You got to take what they give you. You can't shop around for the most part, and that's true in so many towns and localities and counties. And if it's going to be that way, then they shouldn't be able to just put on there and force you to pay for stuff that you may not want to pay for.
That's right, because people say, well, then just cancel your cable. Okay, then I lose out on the Yankees and all the other stations that I actually want. And it's, because they are in that monopoly status, they have some obligations to their people. So people vote with their feet and they vote with their dollars. And in this case, if they don't do the right thing by September 11th of this year, we're gonna have people vote with their dollars, voting away from their cable options that are forcing Al Jazeera into their living rooms.
Assemblyman, one more question since I have you, and since you are the founder of Afghanistan and Iraq Veterans for Congress and serve so proudly in Iraq. Any thoughts as we stand here possibly looking at getting involved militarily in Syria?
Yeah, I don't support that. It's not really clear if there are good guys in that conflict in Syria. I mean, clearly the Assad regime are not good guys, and clearly there are elements of Al Qaeda and other Islamic elements within the rebel side. So I'm not sure the U.S. interest that's at stake. And unfortunately, I think the Obama administration has gone about it all wrong, not going to Congress. I believe in the commander-in-chief powers to defend the country, but the commander-in-chief powers are strongest when the Congress, and with the Congress meaning the people, are behind military action. You cannot commit the country to military action unless you have the people behind you. That is very dangerous, especially if there's not a vital American interest at stake. Absolutely.
Assemblyman Kieran Lalor, former, there's no such thing as a former Marine. Proud to know you, sir, and thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Steve. Anytime. Have
a
great day.
Talk to you again soon. All right, folks. Very interesting, isn't it? And I wonder if you want to weigh in on this. I wonder if you have Al Jazeera America on your cable system or satellite system or whatever you use to get your TV programming, Verizon, Fios, whatever. And if you're happy about it, and if you're being made to pay for it, even though you don't want it, and if you favor what the Assemblyman is trying to do, New York Assemblyman Kieran Lalor. All right, you know the number, I hope, 855-777 9660. It's a free call, whether you're watching us at Newsmax TV or you're listening to us on one of the great radio stations that we are proud to be on, or you're listening or watching on an app worldwide or wherever. 855-777-9660 right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.